Today, instead of complaining again about Garmin, about activities, I'm going to show you the main difference between Garmin and the Whoop 4. How they both read activities and why the Whoop version is better. Of course, they have some similarities. So Garmin and the Whoop, they have a, let's say, big variety of activities that you can switch and you can activate when you doing something. The difference is, for instance, that Garmin doesn't have anything like nap or napping or sleep. That you cannot just convince Garmin that you are sleeping and just make it obvious on the Garmin that you are actually sleeping. You can do it on Whoop, and there is no problem. You can start it before and you can measure it after. If you, for instance, if you fall asleep and you wanted to after make it obvious for Whoop that you are sleeping, you can actually set that activity as a sleep. All the activities in Garmin you always have to set and actually determine on the beginning before you do it. You can, of course, after you can tell Garmin that you are doing something, but then you have to actually provide all the details, and it's not analyzing any measurements from the Garmin. At the same time, Whoop actually lets you to either switch or activate activity before, or plan it, or you can actually do it after. So I can do it even after 1-2 days. I think it could be 3 or 4 days in buffer. There's a buffer that actually you can go back and analyze your stress, your heart rate, and all the features of your body. At the same time, if Whoop doesn't recognize something, you can actually tell him that you are doing something, and you can always change it. So for instance, if you're not happy with because sometimes you are doing something that you wasn't sure what that kind of activity that you are doing matches the best the activity from Whoop. It has very big variety, but sometimes it's really hard to find that is the best matching what you are doing. You can always, if you don't want to, you can delete it, and you can actually analyze your all your body measurements again as a different activity, and then make it more let's say suitable for you. If you wanna see first attempt to make the measurements and measure, let's say, in the classic way on my pulse, and how I compared that to measurements from Garmin, there is video in here that you can actually see. But here I wanted to show you that actually what I did, I was doing this activity, the same activity that in previous video, for about 10-15 minutes, and every 2 minutes I was changing activity on my Garmin. So I started first indoor rowing, then after 2 minutes I switched to elliptical, then I switched to indoor running, and I switched to pool swimming, and I switched to treadmill running. So as you can see here, every activity actually determines how Garmin reads sensors, let's say. In here, just because I put indoor running, suddenly drops like from the cliff. Suddenly I was like on 65 beats per minute, just from 115, and then I switched to pool swimming, and it's like really flat, and just after that when it's switched to treadmill running, it's just very spiky again. So that's how Garmin works, and as I mentioned before, you cannot change it. You have to just stay with what you measured. How it works with Whoop: Whoop first measures all the sensors, and then you can always if Whoop doesn't recognize any activity, it is possible. Sometimes nap is not recognized, but even if you don't remember the perfect time of the nap, you can always go. You can see your let's say you can see your stress monitor, and you can see, for instance, that on the stress monitor it went really down, and then you can actually just mark this area and tell Whoop that actually is your activity that was nap. For instance, if you really slept, if that wasn't just nap, like power nap 15 minutes, you can turn that nap into sleep, which actually contributes to your recovery and contributes to your sleep depth. So for instance, if you have 90 minutes of depth with your sleep, you can reduce that depth just by a 90-minute sleep during the day. Garmin doesn't have that option, so that's the game winner. Whoop as well has like a big variety of activities that you can set up, or you can let's say ask Whoop to analyze your stress during the day according to these activities. For instance, I was working with a very stressful environment a few times during the weekend, and I actually asked Whoop to analyze it as a stressful job. But the main, let's say, benefit of everything that I just mentioned before is just, it doesn't matter what option you take, it's always all the measurements are done first without affection from the activity that you want to analyze. First go all the measurements, all the parameters of your body, and then according to activity that you want to analyze, giving you outcome, so you can actually experiment, you can change how these parameters from your body would be read by each activity. You can delete activity and try to analyze the same body readings with different, as I mentioned before. Main difference regarding body battery and stress is that in Garmin, body battery really rely on your stress and, let's say, on your stomach. As I mentioned before in my previous videos, the healthier your gut is, the healthier your stomach is and your digestive system, the better body battery, the less stress, and your score is always better and higher. Comparing to Whoop, which actually have a bit different approach, and let's say it doesn't ruin your recovery just because you're in stress. Sometimes even during the small light activities, Whoop takes it as a recovery, like restorative activity that actually contribute to just give you better score in recovery. That's, I would say, is the main big difference between those two algorithms, like recognizing what's going on with your stress and with your body battery, with your recovery. If I have to choose, there is no problem at all. I would choose to stay with Whoop, but at the same time, just because Whoop doesn't have so many options that Garmin has, like step count and everything that is missing in Whoop, I'd rather stay, like many people, with both of them. One is just to measure, like, let's say, my well-being. The other one is measuring, let's say, the very small things that are very useful to know. And at the moment, that's what I do. I actually, on daily basis, I use both of them at the same time. If I don't have to, I don't use Garmin. I just stay with Whoop. The second very good thing about Whoop is that actually you can, using special band or another version like special trousers, special sleeves, special brass and stuff like that. You can put the sensor on the different part of your body. So for instance, if your hand is like, you feel that it just bothering you at the moment, you can put it on different part of your body. Or if you go somewhere and you don't want to show that you're actually checking yourself all the time, you can just put it on different part of your body. And you can try to do this with Garmin. I actually tried, but the problem is it's really hard to find the belt or the band that actually you can just attach to it. I tried it. Let's say the measurement was funny sometimes, but just because, as I said before, activities, when you switch to activities, they always some strange readings with heart rate. I would rather say that maybe that was the reason why it was strange, but there is no option as it is. There is no option a la carte that you can do this like you can do with Whoop. Let me know in the comments what is your experience with either Whoop or Garmin. Do you use both of them? Either you use Whoop with the Garmin, either you use Whoop with the Apple Watch, or you use one of them at the time. Let me know in the comments, or tell me what you're interested in or what you're curious about, and let's see what next.